In this episode, we are going to break away from the book The Coercive Animal and try a thought experiment that may test and reveal the character of consciousness. Welcome back to Seryla Philosophy, Episode 14, The Seryla Consciousness Paradox and its Free Will Contribution. Now, let's get started. First, let us set up the mental experimental room. 1. We have our stage. 2. We have our desk and 2 screens. This desk and the 2 screens are mutually exclusive in that each person on one side cannot see what the other person sees on their side. 3. We have our test subject. Now, that test subject is you. But by the laws of our physical world, at least at the time of this presentation, is that I cannot actually put you into the video. But regardless, this is you. If the image does not look like you, perhaps the image is of you from a previous life. All right, let's continue. Now, we made a complete carbon copy of you. There we go. Now there are 2 of you. They are identical in every way, which includes your memory and experiences that you have had up to this time or moment. Every bit of physical existence that makes you has an identical counterpart in your copy, right down to individual atoms and any subparticles. To start, let's put the original you on stage left. We will refer to the original you from here on in as you won. Okay, no, you didn't win anything. Now we put the carbon copy of you 2 to stage right. In front of you 1 and you 2, that is, you 2 and not you 2, are 2 identical screens. Now, U1 and U2 are looking at what is on their screens. They cannot see the other you person's screen. Remember, there is a partition between the 2 of you. Unfortunately, the AI image generator that I used was not smart enough to make this for me. So, here is a cheesy way of presenting that partition. U1, that is the original you, has before you a black circle and nothing else. U2, your perfect copy, has before them a black square and nothing else. Now, imagine one of those teleporters in science fiction. You know, where they transport someone onto a planet, or to a peep show, or to a concert of your favorite band, or, well, you get the idea. The teleporter is the type that transfers the actual physical material and not just making a copy. Further, it has a capability to randomly select any physical atom or subparticle spaced evenly over the total brain identically between each U1 and U2. This is a 1-for-1 swap of the same point in each brain. We can transfer from 0% to 100% of the physical matter between the 2 subjects. Let us start with the easiest transfer first. If U1 is looking at a black circle and U2 is looking at a black square, and we transfer 100% of your brain material between the 2 bodies, that is, the 2 of you, what would U1, that is the original you, see and experience? I don't know your thoughts, but mine is that you will see a black circle, and then a glitch will occur, and then you will see a black square. If this imaginary teleporter machine is well made, perhaps it would be a seamless switch on the screen to your perception. The partition will suddenly switch from your right to your left as well. However, to keep things simple, we will not take into account other physical cues from here on in. Simply our 2 visual items, the black circle and the black square. What else does it suggest? Well, maybe consciousness is tied to specific physical matter. The cells in our body replace about every 7 years. There are two exceptions. One is that our bone marrow stem cells replace every 120 to 180 days. And another is our neurons in our cerebral cortex, which stays with us from birth to death. How true this is seems to be debated. Nevertheless, the human brain does not replace like other organs. If this is indeed true, is our consciousness tied to specific physical matter, maybe even to a specific place in your brain? If your mother, when you were first conceived, had moved to another country and carried you for 9 months, where your mother ate different foods and so on, then she came back to give birth to you, would you still be you? Or would your consciousness be with another conscious person? I say this because that brain of yours would be made of different physical material due to her move and the consumption of different food. Another question is the order in which your physical material of your brain from birth to death required to be in the order it is now? If we randomly move around the physical material of your current brain, would you still be you? Or would your experience disappear and some new conscious person arise? And the kicker here is, if a new consciousness arises, the new different consciousness would not necessarily know it, as the rest of your brain contains all your life experiences. Okay, now let us reset and go into the other direction. If U1 is once again looking at a black circle, and U2 is looking at a black square, and a transfer of 10% of your brain between the two physical U's takes place, what would the original U see and experience? My guess is that you would see a glitch, and then your brain would reconcile back to the black circle. Another possibility is that your conscious existence would just disappear, and another consciousness could arise. Or perhaps a more complicated event, as we will see shortly. As you can now see, we can exchange the physical material of the two brains with any percentage. However, the percentage that is of most interest, at least to me, is 50%. If we randomly select 50% of your original brain and transfer 1-to-1 bits of physical material between the two of you, what would the original you see and experience? If consciousness continues, where would U1 reside after this 50% transfer? Certainly, you would not suddenly have two consciousnesses occurring at the same time. Interestingly, this percentage suggests that your consciousness is, well, annihilated. Further, would each of U1 and U2 now both claim to be the original you, while being confused if they were the black circle original? With consciousness annihilation, even under the 10% exchange, would U1 claims to be the original be true? At what percentage does the conscious annihilation occur? For me, this shows something about consciousness that is otherwise hidden. Perhaps consciousness is not a continuance of consciousness. Perhaps consciousness is only a moment in time. And once that moment is gone, your consciousness is gone too. But the emergence of the next moment is a new consciousness with all your past history and experience intact as it rests in the storage of your birth-to-death brain. This then gives you continuity and the impression that you are always existing. Rather, maybe we come and go like a string of beads. Perhaps the emergence of consciousness requires the movement of time. After all, as outlined in episode 10, awareness is the moment, and consciousness is the past, present, and future, all at the same moment in time. This means the U1 at the beginning of this video no longer exists. In fact, U1 continually came and went long before the change of the black circle to the black square occurred. You are a new you with an attached sack of mentally stored experiences. That attached sack of mentally stored experiences is the stored physical existence experiences of your movement through physical existence in space and time. As stated earlier, science claims our neurons in our cerebral cortex stays with us from birth to death or repairs over long periods of time. It is probably here the random transference of physical material actually changes conscious experience from the point of view that you are you in consciousness. Therefore, if you came into consciousness once, you could come into consciousness again. Thus, does the secret of our consciousness in being you or being me reside in the specific physical material that makes our cerebral cortex? What an explosion of potential ideas! For example, if half of your physical brain and half of a different physical brain results in a different conscious viewer, then that conscious viewer could never exist at the same time as you. Another potential idea is, if your physical material of your brain is constructed differently, would you experience conscious life differently? The materialist, I suspect, would say yes. If all peoples evaluate to balance has a common build to all human beings within a small margin of error, but your peripheral items to life experience processing, like being more or less sensitive to this or that, or having different skills or skill levels, then the bending of reactive existence and adhesive frame reference manipulation may, more or less, result in a different you. Whereas, if you keep an open reactive existence and a non-adhesive frame reference, then the common or real you would appear. That is what I mean by free will. Perhaps a better statement would be to say, the authentic you. Episodes 7 and 12 touch upon this. From a more spiritual point of view, our evaluate to balance may be our soul. It is our requirement from our Creator, which is God for the spiritualist, and physical existence for the materialist, to express our true soul without coercive manipulation by others around us. Let's move on. If we let the hybrid of U1 and U2 spend a couple of days doing things, then we return and switch back the same material we had moved, would you come back to conscious existence again? However, since you are carrying your sack of mental experience around, you wouldn't even know you disappeared. But with your Gucci sack of memories, you would know some confusion for those couple of days. Your memory would be the acquired experience of another conscious being during that state. What is really weird here is that a different consciousness that temporarily took your sack of experiences would now be part of your sack of experiences that you didn't really experience, but you would never know it, and you would think it is yours. As a reminder, this is a thought experiment. Therefore, not physically based claims, but are manufactured ideas that are of unknown probability, low probability, or just pure manufactured ideas. This is touched upon in Episode 5. This ends Episode 14. I still cannot see the known comments on my computers or phone. However, please feel free to comment, even if it is to converse between others. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not, please do. And remember to hit that like button.